That noise, it could only have been the one thing we have in our court record that is guaranteed to make noise. Gun. It seems like you and Wesley Stickler are quite alike, Miss Dilly. That's the single most offensive thing anyone's ever said to me. Sorry, but it looks like you made the exact same mistake as he did. Mistake? What are you talking about? A noise loud enough to shock you awake from so far away. As we've seen, there was only one object at the crime scene capable of such a thing. The pistol. Don't be daft. Only one shot was fired from the murder weapon. And witness saw it after she looked out the window. There's no way that this gun could have been fired twice. Of course it wasn't fired twice. But all that means is that the second shot was fired from a different gun. There were no other weapons at the crime scene. That's because the killer disposed of the gun after the murder. Well, damn. There's absolutely no proof that there was a second gunshot fired in that room. There are plenty more explanations for what the witness heard. There is proof, and I'll gladly show it to you. You know, watching the two of you argue back and forth like that reminded me of the good old days. I would eagerly watch the fierce debates between Mr. Wright and Mr. Edgeworth. Very well, Mr. Justice. Where is your proof that there was another gunshot at the crime scene that night? Bottle! And this proves what exactly? Ah! Why are you screaming? Did I imagine that just now? Crap. I think I've been conditioned by my time with Von Karma. If I'm right about this, the first shot rang out when Fuzz was hit with that bottle. There are no bullet holes at the scene, but could that shot have left any other traces? Very well, Mr. Justice. Where's your proof that there was another gunshot at the crime scene that night? Could be the diagonal tear on the victim. Autopsy report? Before I give my explanation, let me clarify something. Who was holding this pistol at the time of the murder? Isn't it obvious? It was the defendant, the killer. Oh? Doesn't that seem strange to you? What's that supposed to mean? If the culprit was holding this gun, and intended to shoot the victim with it, why would he have chosen to hit him with a bottle first and not use the pistol straight away? Well, where are you going with this, Mr. Justice? Let's turn our thinking around. Why did the killer hit Mr. Fuzz with a bottle? Because Detective Fuzz was the one holding the gun. Huh? Eh? Come again? What? What? Oh boy. Here we go. Fuzz had a gun aimed at his murderer. He would have fired the moment he saw them reaching for their own weapon. That's why the killer had to resort to a blunter method. Grab the bottle, probably from atop the set of drawers behind him. Proceeded to hit Fuzz in the head, stunning him. I think we can guess what would have happened next. Fuzz dropped the gun. Okay, this isn't going exactly where I thought it was, but right. The impact of hitting the floor caused a bullet to fire, grazing past Detective Fuzz's outer leg as it did. But preposterous! Finally, the killer finished him off with his own pistol. This also explains how the pistol at the scene found its way into Fuzz's right hand. This guy told us that the victim may have lived for a few moments after being shot. He fell to the floor, with his own pistol lying beside him. went to grab it in an effort to shoot back at his attacker, but died of blood loss before he had a chance to fire. This is ludicrous! If what you say is true, then where did this bullet from the first shot end up? Did it remind you that there were no bullet holes left at the scene? Her shot probably also went through the open window. We can deduce this from the mark left along Detective Fuzz's right leg. The bullet shot upwards, from Fuzz's front to his back. I mean, the gun hits flat. Maybe the gun hits flat. The handle and barrel way more than the handle and the chamber way more than the barrel. So naturally, when the gun hits flat, the barrel tilts upwards somewhat. And if the impact hitting the floor, like say the pin was pulled back, the impact caused the pin to release, hit a bullet, barrel tilted up, bang, grazed him. It's plausible. It sounded kind of ridiculous at first, but it is in fact plausible. As Miss Dilly told us, the man who was shot was facing away from the window. It means that the bullet flew upwards toward the open window and into Dawning River, where it was soon followed by the second shot. No, there's the old-fashioned nagor. So what if the victim dropped his gun? What does it change? A lot more than you might think, Miss Dilly. There were 2 guns fired at the scene. Only one of them could be found. So, what became of the second gun? Oh, right. The victim's... yeah. You say so what, as if the victim dropped his gun, killer picked it up and shot him. False. Only one bullet was fired. The killer disposed of it after the murder occurred, no? Of course they did, and that's precisely where the problem lies. The police arrived at the scene some just 15 minutes after the murder, where they found the defendant still inside the room. The killer must have known that the police would be on their way. A loud gunshot had rang out in a populated apartment building after all. Well, then why would they leave, dispose of the weapon, and then return to the scene? It wouldn't make any sense. Even the dumbest criminal wouldn't go back to that apartment. It should only mean that when Shay D arrived at the scene that night, he was completely unaware that a murder had taken place. The defendant showed up only after the real killer had already left the scene with their pistol. Fuck, that turned around. You know what, Apollo? You were actually kind of cool just now. Yeah. It would seem that a new possibility has been presented. It is indeed true that the missing pistol points toward a third party at the crime scene. Furthermore, this witness was unable to actually see the killer's face. However, the question of how a third person could have entered the scene remains. I cannot pass my verdict with these questions yet to be answered. Consequently, court will be adjourned for today, whilst the investigation continues.
Objection!
Uh-oh. Just a moment, Your Honor. Also, those Edgeworth sprites are really fucking clean. The prosecution believes it can provide such answers for you before the end of today's session, as well as give a solid counter-argument to the defense's assertions. What? Is that true, Prosecutor Edgeworth? All shall be revealed soon enough by my final witness. Another one? Another one. Another one. Very well, BJ Edgeworth, if you're so sure about this. Thank you. Miss Dilly, you may step down now. Oh, sure. I hope I was of some use to you. Aw. I really feel bad for her. Step down, witness. Just give her a compliment. She did alright. Jeez. Don't need to be mean to the poor girl. Why do I suddenly have such a powerful sense of dread building up inside of me? Prosecutor Edgeworth, he's so confident. He's got this look about him. It's like the look of somebody who knows they've already won. There he is! Name and occupation. Now, can I do a better Cockney accent, or should I just not even try? Or should I just butcher it again to to really, really rub people the wrong way? Aye, name's Douglas Ford, and well, to be quite honest with you, mate, I'm unemployed right now. Only just moved here from across the pond, did I? Oh, that sounds horrible. I'm so sorry. You're not from America, witness? Huh. Do I sound like a Yank to you? It's true, Your Honor. This witness moved here from Britain a few weeks ago. Right you are. Right chuffed with me new flat I was. Weren't expecting this kind of body rubble, though. What? This is going to be fun. Moving on. Can you testify about the incident and the role you played therein? I reckon so. This guy supposed to be Edgeworth's decisive witness? What the heck could he have seen that night? Let's find out. Brown bread. Naturally. Well, about 10:20 p.m. I was on my way to my flat when I saw a couple of blokes. One was the victim and the defendant. They was having a chinwag just outside the door to the building. I didn't think anything of it, but 10 minutes later I heard some noises from down the apples. I ran down to have myself a butcher's, but when I peeked inside the bloke's flat, there was brown bread and the defendant was standing there with a pistol. I grabbed my dog and bone and rang the bottles. I kept an eye on the door the whole time. Nobody went in or out of that flat after that murder until the bottles got there. What? You saw the defendant at the crime scene holding a pistol? I did indeed. Those two blokes walked into the building together. Guess they must have had themselves a bull and cow, because one of them got shot. And I'll be buggered if there was no one else in that flat with him. I'm telling ya, I was watching the whole time. How's that possible? If that were true, where did the second pistol go? The killer had to leave the room to dispose of it. There's another possibility. What? The river. The defendant only had to make use of the window at the crime scene. The pistol could have been tossed into the river, which would have dragged it away, just as it did with the 2 bullets that were fired. And with that, the evidence was removed without a trace. Ah! I have to admit, I hadn't considered that the killer could have thrown the pistol from there. This is bad. We completely lost our advantage. I can't break this testimony. Our case is finished. I can't let that happen. Ford says he saw Shay and Fuzz arrive at the building together. But Shay told me yesterday that they didn't get to the scene until Fuzz was already dead. I don't see any psych logs when he said that. So what the heck is up with this guy's testimony? Brown bread. You were on your way back to your apartment around 10 minutes before the murder took place. Where'd you been before that time? I was only having a couple of pints down the pub, mate. I'll be buggered if I can't remember the name of the place now, though. I was right knackered, I was. Decided it was time to go back to me flat for a kip. Fair enough. Fuzz and Shay arrived at the Dawning apartment complex together. You're absolutely certain about that? Too right, me old son. Not that I knew the name of the fella with it. Not that I knew the name of the fella who had ended up getting shot, though. You've never seen the victim before. Can't say I ever have. I ain't so good at remembering faces, though. What about Shay? Have you spoken with the defendant before? I know the bloke. Lived in the flat above him, didn't I? I think I knocked on his door to borrow some sugar once or twice. Sounds like this guy doesn't have any connection to the other people involved in this case that we know of. Apples? You know, apples and pears. What? Stairs, mate. The noise you heard was probably the gunshot. Tell us, did you hear one gunshot at the time or two? I was in me flat when I heard the bang. Which was right on top of where the bloke got shot. But the apples down or on the other side of the building. I went straight over as soon as I heard the first shot. The walls are pretty good at blocking noise, so I can't say for sure if there was another one. I guess that makes sense. It would also explain why we didn't find out about the second shot until now. Butchers. I want to reiterate how sorry I am for how horrible an accent I'm doing. I'm aware that it is indeed quite horrible. Butcher's hook! Look, mate. Oh! So you went to investigate the crime scene. And what did you see when you got there? The victim was brown bread. The defendant was dead. Brown bread dead. Bread? He was dead as a doorknob, mate. And the bloke up there was holding the gun there. Holding the gun what did him in. That can't be true. Are you sure that it was the defendant you saw? Absolutely. He was wearing the same weasel from before. A weasel? This witness is getting harder and harder to understand. I believe he's referring to the black coat that the defendant wears. Spot on! He was wearing it when I saw him before the murder. Anyway, I grabbed my dog and boat and rang the bottles. Kept an eye on the door the whole time. Not even gonna try with this one. I just used his cell phone to call the police. Do you understand this guy, Mr. Edgeworth? I questioned him for long enough to pick up on a few things. Anyway, that's not important. You watched the door to the defendant's apartment, witness. What did you see? If that were true, and the defendant had to have been inside the room since before the murder, that he was there alone, proves that he is the only possible suspect. No. Did Shay lie to me? No. He couldn't have. Because it has been fooled before. We're finished if you let this testimony stand. Could be something we can do. I think the first order of business is to decode what this guy's even saying. This is a pain. Alright, wait. This is the part that reeks to me, because yeah, the door locks as soon as it shuts. Wait a second. That apartment should have been locked up tight. How the heck were you able to look inside and see the victim's body? No real mystery there. Pretty simple if you just use your loaf, I think. So, how exactly were you able to see inside the crime scene? Like you say, the door was locked up tighter than a drum. So I decided to have a little nosy in through the letterbox. You. Huh? There's a mail slot in the lower part of the front door to this apartment. All the witness had to do was lift it open and look through. Oh! Wait a second. You'd have a pretty obstructed view of the scene if you were just looking through that shot. Were you really able to tell that the person you saw was the defendant from that? Well, I suppose you got me there, Flower. I figured I was a little too low down to get a good look at the fellow's boot. Boat? Not boot, boat. Well, I recognized his clothes from when I saw him earlier. When I saw the pistol in his hand. Must have been just before the killer threw the gun away. But if Ford never saw their face, there's no proof that the person he saw was Shay. Whether the witness saw the killer or not is of no consequence. All that matters is that nobody entered or left the scene after the murder. Which would mean the sole living person in that room, the defendant, is the killer. Indeed. There's no disputing that. Damn! I need something a little more conclusive to prove them wrong. Now, I should consider what we've just learned. Ford witnessed the scene through the mail slot at the front door. That's important somehow. Okay, he just watched. It's probably unlikely that someone jumped into the, I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here. And be wrong. There. No. Damn it. Oh, fuck, that was good. Alright. Oh, boy. Though I do wonder. He wouldn't be able to see the victim. There we go. Something off about your testimony, witness. What's that, mule son? You better not start talking some more rubbish. You told us that you looked through the mail slot in the door to see both the defendant and the victim's body. Is there a problem with that, Mr. Justice? Take a look at the crime scene diagram. These were the positions of the victim and his killer just after the murder. We had to look through a low-down mail slot in front of the door. You would only have a decent view of the person standing at the killer mark. Yikes. Although, as we discussed, it would be difficult to see their face at that height. The real problem arises when you consider the position of the victim's body. Fuzz was thumped up against the coffee table in front of the sofa. In that position, if you tried looking through the mail slot, your view of the victim's body would have been totally blocked. God blimey! How about it, witness? How are we able to see the victim's body from the outside room? From outside the room? Ugh! To be quite honest with you, mate, I don't have the foggiest. All I remember is having to butcher through the door and seeing that bloke's body. Who knows? Maybe I'm just going a bit balmy. He's not taking this very seriously, is he? This is just what I needed to throw doubt on his testimony. There's no way the judge can accept this now. Unless Prosecutor Edgeworth screws it all up for us. Your lack of perception is rather astounding, Mr. Justice. What do you mean? I don't suppose you noticed the mirror on the wall at the crime scene, did you? A mirror? Yes, it was hanging just above the set of drawers opposite the window. That's where the bottle was sitting. As you can see, the body's reflection would be entirely visible from the door. No way! I see. It explains the contradiction quite nicely, doesn't it? Wait a minute! Why the heck didn't Mr. Ford mention that he saw the body through a mirror? Witness? Well, I'd be buggered. I had no bloomin' idea that I was looking through a mirror. I didn't know where the layout of the room was like, so I didn't notice anything off. And to be fair, I was a bit focused on the dead bloke to be paying attention to the furniture. And there you have it. No! No way! Is this it? I feel like everything I have at this guy, but I just can't break his testimony. Apollo. Your Honor. I believe it's about time that we brought this trial to a close. Oh shit! No! Yes, it does appear as if the cross-examination is over. As it stands, I have no reason not to believe that the defendant is guilty. He performed admirably, Mr. Justice. The truth is that Shady is the culprit behind this case. I have to admit that now and put this unfortunate series of events behind us for good. Shay is no killer. I know that for certain. But what can I do to convince Prosecutor Edgeworth? The evidence, the witness, they all point to a single truth. Except that truth is wrong. This court finds the defendant, Shady. What? Court is adjourned. Wait. We failed. I failed. Shay was innocent and I let him down. And the real killer, whoever that might be, is still out there. Is this the end? Clearly not, since we're moving on to part 4 now. And we get to play as a certain someone. Hello there. Oh, fuck. Oh, no, that's what's gonna happen, isn't it? That's what's gonna happen with that cliffhanger. I see. So that's why he came down here. I think that Charles Fuzz would be declared not guilty. This is a problem. And this guy, Edward Crook. What do you know about him? Not much. I hadn't even heard his name until recently. Appears to be entirely unremarkable, but Francisca told me that your two subordinates ended up running into him last week. Apollo and Athena did? When? Apparently it was during the Rivales case. You did hear about that one, yes? I knew that they were on a case, but I've been in and out of physiotherapy a lot recently. I haven't heard many of the details. That makes 2 of us, I suppose. Oh, right. You've been buried in work since that case. When Nathan Maggs sent his men to break into your office, right? Relocating all of my sensitive documents was a huge setback. I'm still catching up on those recent cases. I can imagine there have been quite a few, what with the syndicate's collapse and all. Precisely. Now that Maggs has lost most of his influence, Francisca has been leading Interpol's investigation into Redco. That's not to say that the fight is over entirely, though. Even now, Nathan Maggs has a number of significant groups supporting him. But, with him behind bars, those same groups have become more vulnerable. More and more crimes are being brought to light each and every day. I'm the only one who has to deal with all the paperwork. Well, just count yourself lucky that's all that Maggs has put you through. Yes, I suppose that was a bit insensitive of me. Don't worry about it. I basically made a full recovery. Just a couple more days and I'll be out of here for good. Still, I really wish I was able to help you with this whole mess. Well, I suppose there is something you could help me with. As long as you're stuck in bed like this, I have some reading for you. Isn't that a copy of the file that Fuzz was attempting to steal from the precinct? We're still not certain why he would do such a thing. You think there's a reason in here somewhere? I don't have high hopes, but there's a chance we may have missed something. All that we do know is that both the victim and the defendant were working for Redco. You remember Stan Tull, don't you? Of course. He was the defendant in the Redco case. He should still be in detention after his actions during that case. Well, he was also the prosecutor in that incident. I paid him a visit the other day to see if he was able to shed any light on the situation. Huh? You want to hear about that old case? Okay, that definitely. Anything you know would be of help. I've already proceeded a bit farther, but had an unfortunate crash occur. So, proceeding from here. Of course, I'll tell you anything you want, but there really wasn't much of interest during that trial. The defendant was clearly guilty. The verdict was declared within about an hour, if I remember right. The defense attorney was just some greenhorn. Didn't stand a chance, really. That's it? There's absolutely nothing strange about that case. Well, I guess the lack of evidence was a little peculiar. The case was built almost entirely on the witness's testimony. But you know, it happens from time to time, I guess. Yes, I did hear that it couldn't be recovered. Thank you for the help, Prosecutor Tull. Wait a second. Did something go missing from the crime scene? It's not mentioned in the case summary, but if you dig far enough into that file, you'll find it. I suggest that you look it up yourself when you have the time. It's nothing too strange, anyway. It doesn't feel that way when you start getting all cryptic like this. Guess I'll just have to give that file a long read later. I should hold on to that Curdy's business card, too. Who knows? You may find something out before we do. Yeah, I did find that out in the version of this part of the recording where before it crashed. But yeah, the file that Edgeworth gave us is the exact same as the one we got in Apollo's side. Who knows? You may find something out before we do. Not while I'm stuck in here, I won't. Mr. Edgeworth! I wasn't expecting to see you here. Did you come here to visit Daddy? How sweet. Ah, Miss Wright. Good morning. Yes, well, your father and I had some business to discuss. Business? That's no good. After all, Daddy's on a strict bed rest until he gets better. No work allowed. Of course. Come on, Trucy. I told ya, I'm feeling as right as rain. Nope. Your doctor won't let you. Are you my doctor now? Yes. Well, right, I'll leave you to it. Thanks for stopping by. How am I supposed to get rest when everyone else is out there working hard? Gotta be something I can do to help. So, Daddy, what were you gonna order for the hospital menu today? I wonder if... Hey, Trucy? I was actually getting a little sick of all this hospital food. Would you mind going into town and grabbing me something special later? Huh? Well, I guess that's okay. What did you have in mind? Okay, this is the part where things started to go wrong. Sorry, Trucy. I don't want you to worry about me, but I can't just sit around while all this is happening. This is my case. I was the one who defended Emma. I was the one who proved that Fuzz was the killer. That's why I can't turn a blind eye to this. They say it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, so I'll just have to apologize when this is all over. I won't be gone long, I promise. Got to do this. Oh wow. This is the Cadenza remix, right? Now then. Finding out more about that defense attorney is probably the first order of business. His address was on that business card that Edgeworth gave to me. He also told me a little about this case. OG4 is connected to Redco in some way. Maybe I should check the files we have from Tull's trial back at the agency. Alright, time to head out. It was a mess. I should clean up a bit. Maybe I should clean up a bit before I head out. It can wait. Oh, I left that card that Edgeworth gave me in this bag. I've already memorized the address on the front. No need to waste time rummaging around in there now. Swig a grape juice before you go? Alright. Just as I thought, the theater normally leaves early for lunch. And Apollo? I'm not sure what's been going on with him recently, but I've heard that he hasn't been in for a while. Apollo, just what is it that's been bothering you so much? I've been thinking about this for a while, but is he acting like this is he acting like this because of what I did? Anyway, I should be looking for any information I can find. Yeah, any information I can find on Redco. What you did. Let's try R for Redco. Eh? This is... It's the police report on the fire that occurred at a Redco building a few months ago. That fire was what sparked the beginning of the trial where Mags was arrested. Prosecutor Tall lost his sister, an undercover Interpol agent, to that incident. It turned out that Mags himself set up the fire to get rid of her. It's odd that this report declared the fire to be an accident, though. Not only that, but the part about the flames blocking the victim's escape is also incorrect. The contents of this report... Were the contents of this report falsified under Mags' orders? Goodies! Looks like this report is the only real piece of information we have on Redco. That won't do. I need more than this if I'm going to get anywhere. I wonder if the Redco building itself holds any clues. Alright, on to Redco. Oh, I gotta see Brooke again. Hello? Is anyone here? Thump. Ow! My head. Sorry. I'll be with you in just a second. Brooke? Is that you? What are you crawling around under the desk for? Mr. Wright! How wonderful to see you again. Or hear you. A large stack of papers got knocked off my desk, so I'm trying to pick them all up. You startled me earlier, so I jumped up and hit my head. Sorry about that. Oh, it's not a problem at all. How can I help you today? Yeah, I feel a bit weird having a conversation like this. Here, let me help you. Ah, there you are. Ah, thank you, Mr. Wright. So what can I do for you now? What can I do for you? At least it looks like Brooke's come out of her shell a little bit more since that trial. Yoink. What about this? I'm terribly sorry, but I cannot assist you with that. Perhaps you'd like a cup of coffee instead? Coffee actually sounds pretty good right now. Fair. Glad to see you're feeling better after what happened last month. What the CEO did was terrible, wasn't it? I'm just glad it's all behind us now. I couldn't agree more. What about this place? I assume Mags' arrest must have had a pretty big impact here. Oh, everything's in absolute chaos right now. The board of directors is planning to appoint a new CEO. But it's difficult to figure out who can and can't be trusted right now. So many of our high-ranking employees have been arrested during the Interpol investigation. Redco is nearly on the brink of collapse. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, please. Don't worry about it. You may not feel like it right now, but things are better this way. That's what I think. That's why I've been assisting Interpol in their investigation. Oh, really? You? Oh, yes. I picked up on quite a lot during my time here. I believe that once all of this corruption has been rooted out, Redco will become the shining beacon of hope it was always meant to be. That's very admirable, if a little overdramatic. Still, it's good to see Brooke doing so well. For her cheerful personality can be a little overbearing at times. That smile of hers appears to be much more genuine now. She truly cares about Redco and the people who work here. So, Mr. Wright, what brings you here today? I can't imagine that you came all this way just to see me. Oh, right. Wonder if Brooke can help me out. Why I'm here? Guess you could call this kind of a follow-up investigation. Oh? Brooke, do you know anything about an incident that occurred 9 months ago? It involved 2 employees at Redco. Not very familiar with these names. That's not much of a surprise, though. Redco is huge, after all. Paolo told me that there was a database of employees on the company network. Would you be able to look these names up in there? I'd like to, but I'm afraid there's no way that these names would be on there anymore. Huh? Both these men died around 9 months ago, correct? That's right. According to the file, Marlowe D. murdered Wade Waters and was executed shortly after. This happened 9 months ago. Both of their employee profiles would have been deleted by now. There's no information on them whatsoever. There's one other way. Huh? One more way to find that information. But is there a problem? You would need to look through his office. His? You mean the CEO's office? The door has been left unlocked since the Interpol investigation began. But I don't have clearance to go in there by myself. Obviously, I don't want you to do something that would get you in trouble. I'll do it. What? I want to help you with your investigation. Consider it me repaying you and Mr. Justice for everything you've done. Brooke, you don't owe me anything. Now, this is dangerous. It'll be okay as long as we don't get caught. That's the spirit. She really has changed. Damn. Alright, Redco, CEO's office. So what are we doing here? Digital data may be gone, but the CEO kept physical copies of each employee file. These files contain information on everyone who's ever worked at Redco. Physical copies of the digital profiles, huh? It means that these files must contain all of the same information that the database did. There are a lot of files here, but they're sorted alphabetically. A to I. Let's go here, get D. Let's try A through I. A, B, C. Ah, here we go. D for D. You got that backwards, Brooke. How could you tell? Anyway, this is Marlowe D's file, right? This file is filled with notes written by Mags himself. What I can understand, Mags hired this guy himself to help out with the syndicate's business. I mean that D was involved in the criminal side of the business too. That's the information in the file isn't that interesting, but what's with this big red X drawn on the front here? Oh, that's odd. None of the other files have marks like that. Wonder if that mark means anything. Alright. So I guess I should move on to a new section. Wade Waters in the W section, so let's do J through T. Let's look at the middle set of files this time. Oh? Do you think there's anything important in that section? This might not be related to OG4, but I'm a little curious. Would you be able to find Emily Tall's file for me? Oh! She was the Interpol agent, wasn't she? The one that the CEO... Nathan Maggs used that fire 3 months ago to murder Emily Tall. Looks like this is still a touchy subject for Brooke. I found it! Let's take a look. This file is filled with notes written by Maggs himself. Looks like he knew from the very beginning that Emily was an Interpol agent. It also has a red X. Made a plan to kill her without arousing any suspicion. The fingerprint-activated logs were used to trap Emily in her own office. By deleting her employee profile, containing her fingerprint data from the system. When she wasn't able to open the door, Mag started the fire, which was guaranteed to kill her. Mags truly is a despicable man. I wonder, what significance does the red X have on this file have? Then move on to a new file. U through Z. Victim of OG4, Wade Waters. Think we could take a look at the W files? Just give me a second. Huh? That's odd. What is it? Mr. Waters' file isn't here. What? Did Interpol take it? Suppose it's possible. That's odd. Why would Interpol be interested in the victim of OG4? Looks like that's all the important files. If you're finished, you should go back downstairs. Good shit. Thank you for everything, Brooke. Of course. I'm just happy to help. Looks like I'm all finished here. I should move on to somewhere else. Oh shit, we can still talk. I forgot I was still in the talk menu. Stop. Okay, back. Just so tragic, the fire that took that woman's life. I can't believe I trusted that man. Hey, don't blame yourself. You didn't know what was going on. And you still made the right decision in the end. That's kind of you to say. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Aw, that's sweet. OG4? What about this? Nothing. Can I show you the files we pulled? Markings on these files are quite peculiar. I'm afraid I have no idea what they could mean. Do you know, Mr. Wright? Considering which files were found those red marks on, I think I might be able to guess the meaning behind them. The kill file. Oh! Crook was our only choice now, so sorry for the sudden, jarring transition. This has got to be the place. That's the guy. Looks like he hasn't noticed me yet. In fact, he's completely absorbed by that newspaper article he has. Edward Crook, I presume? I have some questions for you. Oh yeah? And who might you be? My name's Phoenix Wright. I'm a defense attorney. Ah. So you're the one who fingered Fuzz, right? But you defended him. Why? He was clearly the culprit in that case. What? You saying that he wasn't entitled to a fair defense? There's defending someone, and then there's covering up the truth. A cover-up? Aren't you being a little paranoid? Or do you think it's impossible that you might have made a mistake? Are you that perfect? He really is crooked. This guy. What's his aim? He really is a twisted little fucker. In that he's able to completely convinced. I don't even know. He's your attorney's badge. Tell me, what does that badge mean to you? I'd say it represents the promise I made to protect the innocent and defend those with no one on their side. Would you believe me if I said that I used to feel the same way? Funny how people change, huh? I wonder what could have happened to make Crook change like that. There. Who are you, really? You're a defense attorney, but is that all there is to it? I'm not important. Not really. I'm not talented. I'm not special. I'm not a player in this game. I'm simply a pawn. A pawn? Who are you working for? It's not that simple. All I'm doing is trying to survive. I refuse to believe that you ended up on that case by chance. Yeah? And why might that be? There's no denying that Charles Fuzz was guilty. He somehow came out of that trial clean. How were you able to convince the judge exactly? I just showed him that there wasn't sufficient evidence to convict the guy. We both know that isn't true. If you ask me, I think the whole trial was set up from the very beginning. And that would mean that you were directly involved in the scheme. I'll ask you again. why did you take Fuzz's case? Cyclops? Oh, only 3. That's surprising. You're in no position to be asking these kinds of questions, Mr. Wright. I guess I should have expected this. Looks like I won't be getting anywhere unless I break these locks. Well, Mr. Wright, are you satisfied? Not by a long shot.
Take that!
This is where we need to be, so... let's do it. There's no way that you ended up representing Fuzz in court by chance. That whole trial was set up to hide the truth. Ha! You think I have enough power to pull something like that? I told you already, I'm just a nobody. It's true that you might not have that kind of influence. But I can think of one person who definitely does.
Take that!
Nathan Maggs. Syndicate may have taken a heavy hit recently. That man has been controlling the courts for a long time now. Interesting. So, you're aware of Nathan Maggs' true nature. That doesn't prove much by itself, though. I mean, what connection could that bumbling detective possibly have to an international criminal? Maggs had a reason to want to protect Fuzz. It's got to have something to do with their connection. This piece of evidence shows the link between Nathan Maggs and Detective Charles Fuzz. Fire! This is the police report on a fire that occurred at Redco 3 months ago. Interestingly enough, Charles Fuzz was the lead detective in the investigation. So what? Couldn't that just be a coincidence? I highly doubt it. After all, the contents of this report were falsified in Maggs' favor. There's no way that could happen unless the lead detective was in his pocket. Not bad. I guess you're right. Charles Fuzz must have been working for Nathan Maggs. But what about me? There's no proof that I have anything to do with that guy. Really gonna deny that now? How about it? Any proof that I'm connected to the criminal syndicate? OG4. OG4. This is what connects you to Maggs. It was a murder incident involving 2 known members of the syndicate. And you represented the defendant in that case. Simple enough. So, you know about that case too. You've really done your homework. Don't you think there's something strange about that case? What do you mean? Think about it. The defendant was declared guilty and given the death penalty. I really was working with Maggs in that trial. Do you really think that I would allow one of his men to be declared guilty? It does seem a little odd. There's another possible explanation. What if Maggs wanted the defendant to be found guilty? Oh. And why would he want something like that? I'm not sure of the exact reason. I do have proof that Nathan Maggs had it out for the defendant in OG4. The file. I found this profile on Marlowe D, the defendant, in Maggs' office. You can see there's a peculiar mark on the front of the folder. I believe that this mark indicates that Maggs wanted to get rid of D. He used that trial 9 months ago to do it. Come on now. That red mark could mean absolutely anything. Don't you think that you're going a little too far into this theory? I have proof to back it up. This will reveal the meaning of the red mark on Marlowe D's file. Talia! Emily Tall. Remember that fire I mentioned earlier? A woman lost her life in that blaze. She was also someone that Maggs needed to get rid of. That's the reason behind why the fire was started. And the target's file has the very same red mark on the cover. Gah! I think it's pretty clear by now what this mark is supposed to represent. It's used to label the people that Maggs had planned to kill. Just like Emily Tall, Marlowe D was a target. That's why Maggs made sure that he received the death penalty after that trial. So what do you think? I'd say this evidence all serves to prove that you and Fuzz are both connected to the syndicate. That's why you took his case and made sure that he was given a not guilty verdict. Am I wrong? Not bad, Phoenix, right? Not bad at all. Alright. Looks like you got me. Yeah, you were pretty much right on. Right with what you said before. Syndicate is falling apart right now, but Fuzz's trial was the last job Mags gave me. He was furious when he found out that the detective started taking orders from someone else, somewhere else. Wait a second. What do you mean by that? Fuzz was following someone else's orders. You didn't figure that part out, huh? Guy got a letter telling him to go steal that file from the precinct. That's what led to Timothy's murder and Fuzz's arrest. So it wasn't Mags who told him to go get that file. Still, Mags couldn't just let one of his guys get arrested like that. That's why he had me go with him and go win him an acquittal. Apparently Mags had some kind of test of loyalty prepared for when Fuzz got out. No idea what that might be, though. What about OG4? Who ordered Fuzz to take the file? I have no clue. Mags probably does, though. That's no help. It's not like I can just ask him. Alright, what about OG4? I certainly wasn't expecting that case to come up now of all times. So it's true. Mags set the trial up so that Marlo D would be executed. I did find it a bit strange that D's execution came so quickly. I suppose Mags had a hand in that as well. That's terrible. Still, everyone was sure that D was guilty regardless. Does that include you? Who cares? Whether he did it or not is no concern to me. You were his lawyer. Sorry, right. You and I live in two different worlds. You say that again. What about this case? What started it all? The victim was a guy called Wade Waters. He just signed his own death warrant. What's that supposed to mean? He was in charge of the finances over at Redco. The shadier parts, that is. Guy got a little too greedy, though. Started stealing money from the company. Needless to say, Mags was pissed. Before he knew it, Waters had Redco, the Rivales family, and the whole damn syndicate out for his blood. Doesn't sound like he would stand much of a chance with that much power against him. Of course not. And he was caught soon enough. But none other than Mags' little favorite, Marlo. He shot him dead in the middle of the damn street. Obviously there were witnesses. So Mags goes ahead and calls me in. I assume it's going to be like every other job. And then, out of nowhere, he turns to me and says, "Let Marlo take the fall." Why would he turn on one of his top men like that? Well, it turns out that Waters wasn't the only traitor at Redco. Marlo was in on the whole embezzlement scheme, too. Whoa, shit, he what? I don't know how Mags figured that out, but he was damn sure about it. Both the victim and the defendant in that case were stealing from Redco. If that's true, then why did D murder his accomplice? Did something happen between the two of them? Mr. Crook, you must have spoken to Marlo D before the trial. So tell me, did he say anything else about Waters' murder that could be important? Oh shit. Whoa, what the heck? Sorry, right? There's some dangerous people out there. It wouldn't be smart for me to reveal too much. Dangerous people? You talking about Mags? Mags can barely run his own operation at this point. People I'm afraid of are a much more immediate threat. Wait, Someone else behind all this? Listen, I'm not trying to fight you here. Really, I'm not. In fact, I want nothing more than to put all this behind us. So, as a show of good faith, allow me to give you one final clue. A final clue? Here. Take it. What's this? Marlo D was carrying this note on the night he was arrested. Not his handwriting, though. He was given it by somebody else. He hid it from the police and handed it straight over to me when I met him. Begged me not to tell anyone. Not the police and certainly not Mags. Guess that shows just how much he trusted me. And? I suppose you handed it straight over to Mags, right? Nope. You're the first person I've ever shown it to. Seriously? But why? Something to do with these dangerous people that are keeping you from talking? Now you're catching on. Obviously, I can't leak much more about it. That note, though. It should be safe for you to take it. Just don't tell anyone that you got it from me, okay? Marlo's note. Oh. Dawning Street Apartments, W405. Bust the lock to get inside and destroy the object in the safe. The code is 727954. Whose side are you on, really? I told you, I'm not a player in this game. I'm just a pawn, and I'm doing my best to survive. You want to know the truth? Max and his people sicken me. What can you do? I certainly didn't choose this life. I'm not sure I understand. You wouldn't. It was certainly forced upon you. It was certainly forced upon you. Edward Crook. Can't say that I think much of you as a lawyer. Frankly, your attitude towards your clients is appalling. Still, thank you for your time. So long, Mr. Wright. And good luck on your future endeavors. Well, shit. This is the place mentioned in the note that Crook gave me. An apartment building. Exactly like what you'd expect. But I wasn't expecting to see. There's a group of police officers gathered outside of the building. Excuse me, did something happen? Sorry, sir. This is a crime scene. No one's allowed inside. Crime scene? Yah! Phoenix Wright! What do you think you're doing here? Aren't you injured? You should be in the hospital. If you're so concerned about my injury, then why are you whipping me? Do not talk back to me! Why was it her of all people? Why are you here? Explain yourself. I'll do it next video, Franny.